When we are kids, success in stories is almost always like handed out by some magical entity.
Oh, definitely. A fairy godmother waves a wand, or a talking animal grants a wish.
Right. Or, in the case of Jack and the Beanstalk, you basically trade a cow for some magic beans, climb a giant plant, and steal a goose that literally lays solid gold eggs.
It's a fantastic shortcut, really.
It is. And I mean, it wires our brains very early on to believe that massive wealth or success is something you just stumble upon if you are, lucky enough.
Yeah, that childhood conditioning is really tough to shake. The fairy tale kind of implies that massive success is just a matter of wandering into the right giant's castle at the exact right time.
Exactly. But then you grow up, right? You enter the professional world and you realize very quickly that there are no magic beans.
Right, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We crave the shortcut because, well, building something from scratch is exhausting.
It is. If you want a golden egg, you essentially have to engineer the goose yourself.
Yeah. And in reality, what looks like spontaneous magic from the outside is almost always the result of incredibly deliberate, grounded strategy. I mean, the actual value isn't in the magic, it is in the climb.
Which brings us perfectly to the mission of our custom-tailored deep dive today. We are taking the fairy tale wealth of Jack and the Beanstalk and translating it into actionable, real-world business growth strategies.
It's a great exercise.
Because whether you are, scaling a startup, running a division at a massive corporation, or just looking to maximize your value in your own career, this deep dive is designed to be your blueprint for finding your own hidden value generators.
And our roadmap for this translation is this really fascinating strategic blog post titled Why Golden Eggs Aren't Just for Fairy Tales.
Yeah, it's a great read.
It comes to us from Stella Pop, which is a comprehensive management and creative agency based out of Reston, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
They essentially act as the architects for these real-world beanstalks. They help organizations build and scale the mechanisms that generate continuous value.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core premise Stella Pop is putting forward is that golden eggs in business aren't whimsical magic.
Right, they aren't just luck.
No, they are real, they are highly strategic, and they are your absolute ticket to growth. But, I mean, if we strip away the fairy tale aspect, we need to anchor this in reality.
For sure.
If I can't take it to a pawn shop, what exactly is a modern golden egg?
Well, in the simplest terms, golden eggs in the business world are the elements of your company that continuously provide value and generate growth.
Continuously being the key word there.
Yes, exactly. The mechanism here relies entirely on the word continuously. We're not talking about a one-off lucky break or a seasonal spike in sales, right?
Right, or like a viral social media post that gets you 15 minutes of fame and zero long-term retention.
Exactly. We are talking about highly repeatable systems, deeply ingrained brand trust, or structural advantages that drive revenue day in and day out.
So it's the engine itself rather than just a single tank of gas?
That's a perfect way to put it.
That distinction really changes how you look at your own business. It forces you to look for compounding returns.
It does. And the text points to a few distinct categories for these modern golden eggs, like innovative products, strong branding, and your unique value proposition, or UVP.
Right. Let's look at the mechanics of those, particularly strong branding.
Well, a lot of people view branding as just a logo or a color palette.
Which totally misses the point.
Completely. Strong branding is a golden egg because it acts as a permanent friction reducer.
How so?
When an audience implicitly trusts your brand, your customer acquisition cost just plummets.
Yeah.
You do not have to spend exorbitant amounts of money convincing them to try your new product.
Because the trust you have built does the heavy lifting.
Right. The brand itself is laying the egg by pre-selling the customer.
And that ties right into the unique value proposition. To me, a great UVP is like a perfectly tailored suit.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah. I mean, you can walk into a crowded networking event where everyone is wearing off-the-rack suits, and you instantly stand out.
Just by the fit alone.
Exactly. It's not necessarily that your suit is made of some magical undiscovered fabric. It's that it was designed specifically to fit you and only you in a way that makes people take notice.
It highlights your specific strengths.
Right. In a marketplace, if you don't have that tailored fit, you are basically just competing on price. And competing on price is a race to the bottom.
Yeah, that tailored fit is really what creates a moat around your business. But what's fascinating here is how the text handles another critical category, which is customer loyalty.
Okay, yeah.
Stella Pop makes a very deliberate, almost counterintuitive distinction here. They point out that loyal customers are not the golden eggs at all.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they're actually the geese that keep laying the eggs.
Wait, hold on. I want to push back on that metaphor just a little bit to make sure we are locking into the real world application here.
Sure, go ahead.
If the customer is the goose, what exactly is the egg in this scenario? Because, in most business models, the customer base is treated as the ultimate asset. Are we saying the customer isn't the value?
No, it is a subtle but vital separation of the source from the output.
Okay, unpack that.
The customer, the goose, is a living, breathing entity, right?
Yeah.
They have evolving needs, they have frustrations, and they require continuous nurturing, feeding, and protection.
And the egg.
The egg is the output of that relationship. It is the repeat business, the recurring subscription revenue, the positive word of mouth that brings in new clients. It's the lifetime value of that relationship.
Oh, I see. So if you focus entirely on the output without tending to the source, the whole system just collapses?
Precisely the trap many companies fall into.
Yeah.
If a business decides to maximize short-term profits, extracting the egg, right, by gutting their customer service department to save on overhead, well, they're starving the goose.
The customer experience deteriorates.
Exactly. The loyalty vanishes, and the goose flies away to a competitor. The eggs stop altogether. You have to maintain the health of the goose to guarantee the supply of the eggs.
That makes profound sense, but it immediately introduces a massive logistical hurdle.
How so?
Well, if you are managing a career or running a business, you are likely bogged down by 1,000 daily fires.
Oh, absolutely.
The text talks about locating these hidden assets, these geese and these eggs, but how do you actually spot them in the wild when you are overwhelmed by day-to-day operations?
To borrow the metaphor again, you have to do the active work of climbing the beanstalk.
Meaning?
You have to intentionally step out of the daily grind and audit your reality. Stella Pop emphasizes that the most critical phase of this search isn't just brainstorming. It is analyzing your raw data.
Right.
You have to trace the actual origins of your revenue rather than relying on your gut feeling.
And it seems like that is where most leaders stumble, right? I mean, we all have a narrative bias.
Big time.
We want to believe the product we spent 2 years developing and millions of dollars marketing is our golden egg. But the data might tell a completely different story.
Yeah, and this raises an important question. How often do we actively ignore hard data because it conflicts with the story we want to tell ourselves?
Too often.
You might have a flagship software suite that you consider your core identity, but an objective dive into your sales data might reveal something else entirely.
Like what?
Like a tiny, inexpensive add-on feature. Something your team built as an afterthought over a weekend is actually driving 80% of your new user acquisition.
Wow. And if you let your ego ignore that data,
You are starving your actual golden goose while feeding a very expensive, unproductive pet.
that is such a great way to frame it. You have to let the market dictate what the asset is,
Yeah.
which flows perfectly into their next point about listening to your audience.
Right.
And that isn't just sending out a generic annual survey, is it?
Not at all. It's about paying attention to what they actually rave about in reviews or on support calls.
Like, it might not be the cutting-edge tech you are so proud of. It might simply be the fact that your support team actually answers the phone on the second ring with a human voice.
Exactly. The market behavior will always reveal the golden egg. Your job is simply to quiet your own assumptions long enough to hear what they're telling you.
Right. The text also points to auditing operations to find these assets, looking internally for areas where the team is just naturally outperforming.
Yes.
But I see a potential pitfall here. Let's say a business audits its operations and discovers an area where they are absolutely crushing it.
Okay.
They are consistently over-delivering without even breaking a sweat. Doesn't acknowledging that create a massive risk of complacency?
Oh, interesting point.
I mean, it is so easy to say, well, we're already great at logistics. Let's just put that on autopilot and focus all our energy on our weak spots.
Yeah. But that complacency is the silent killer of successful companies.
Yeah.
Finding the golden egg is only the first part of the equation.
Mhm.
If you put it on autopilot, it stagnates. A process that is exceptional today becomes industry standard tomorrow.
That is so true.
That is why Stella Pop insists that finding your operational strengths must immediately be followed by exploring new markets.
So expanding the footprint.
Exactly. If you have built an unparalleled, frictionless logistics system for delivering office supplies, you shouldn't just sit back.
What should you do?
You should be asking how you can take that exact same operational excellence and apply it to an entirely new vertical, like medical equipment or perishable goods.
I love that. You don't just admire the goose, you take it to a new, bigger pond.
Right.
But let's linger on that idea of complacency for a second, because keeping the egg shiny seems exponentially harder than finding it in the first place.
It really is.
How do we actually cultivate these assets so they don't lose their value?
Well, the maintenance requires a very rigid discipline. Stella Pop outlines a few core rules for this, starting with a mandate to invest in quality. It sounds basic, I know, but the mechanics of it are incredibly difficult in practice. You must never skimp on what works.
Whether it is the raw materials of your products or the compensation for your top-performing people.
Or the time dedicated to your processes.
It is difficult because investing in quality usually hurts short-term profit margins.
Exactly.
I mean, you see this all the time with private equity takeovers. A firm buys a beloved legacy brand that has a fiercely loyal customer base.
Oh, this is a classic scenario.
Right. The new owners look at the balance sheet and realize the high-quality materials are eating into the margins, so they swap them out for cheaper alternatives.
And for a few quarters, profits soar.
The eggs look bigger.
They do.
But then the loyal customers, the geese, realize the tailored suit doesn't fit anymore. They realize the quality is gone, they revolt, and the brand collapses.
Exactly the dynamic. They killed the goose to accelerate the egg production and ended up with nothing. To avoid that, you have to prioritize innovation over margin extraction. You have to stay ahead of your own success by continuously evolving your offerings.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The text uses a very specific grounded phrase. It says, quote, "What's shiny today may tarnish tomorrow."
That's a great line.
That single line shatters the illusion of permanent success. I mean, a unique value proposition is only unique until a well-funded competitor reverse engineers and copies it.
Exactly.
A strong brand is only strong until the cultural conversation shifts and your messaging suddenly feels outdated. You have to aggressively polish the egg through innovation, or it just turns into a regular dull rock.
Yeah, the business landscape is inherently erosive. If you are standing still, you are degrading.
Right.
And that reality demands resilience, which brings us to another of Stella Pop's cultivation rules, diversifying your offerings to plan for the long haul.
Okay.
The text advises that while a single golden egg is excellent, a basket full of them is exponentially better.
Now, I want to debate that point for a moment because it feels like there is a massive tension there.
How so?
Is the pursuit of a basket full of golden eggs fundamentally at odds with having one incredibly strong, unique value proposition?
I see what you mean.
Like, if I have a tailored suit that fits perfectly, and I decide to start making hats, shoes, and umbrellas just to fill my basket, don't I risk diluting the core identity that made me special in the first place?
Yeah.
It just feels like the quickest path to spreading a company too thin and becoming mediocre at everything.
It is a very real tension, and it is the line between strategic resilience and chaotic distraction.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Building a basket of golden eggs is not about randomly starting unrelated ventures to hedge your bets. It is about taking the core competency, the invisible architecture that makes your first egg golden, and applying it to adjacent markets.
Give me an example.
Well, if your core UVP is an unmatched ability to synthesize complex regulatory data, you don't diversify by opening a restaurant.
Right, that would be chaotic.
Exactly. You diversify by taking that data synthesis engine and applying it to healthcare compliance, then maybe environmental law, then financial sector regulations.
You see?
It is controlled diversification. It ensures that if regulatory changes wipe out one sector, your underlying engine is still powering the others.
That reframes it beautifully. It is about ecosystem building around a core strength rather than just hoarding shiny, unrelated objects.
Exactly.
So we have unpacked the theory. We know how to define the eggs. We know how to climb the beanstalk through data to find them. And we know we have to relentlessly innovate to keep them from tarnishing.
Right.
But I want to pivot to the actual execution here. How does the author of this post, Stella Pop, apply this framework in the real world for their own clients?
Well, they utilize a specific flow of discovery to execution that they call their growth formula.
Okay.
It begins with creative strategy sessions. This is the grueling, deeply analytical phase where they dig into a company's raw data and operations to unearth those hidden strengths.
So finding the goose.
Yes, finding the goose. Once they identify the true value generator, they move into brand development. They build the communication architecture to broadcast that value clearly, creating that frictionless trust we talked about earlier.
Basically, they design the perfectly tailored suit for the market.
Precisely. From there, they move into market expansion plans, which is the process of identifying new beanstalks to climb and new adjacent markets where that core strength can be deployed.
Right.
And finally, they deploy growth hacking.
Wait, I have to stop you there because the term growth hacking always triggers an alarm for me.
I get that.
It sounds a little bit like looking for magic beans, doesn't it? It carries this tech bro, overnight success, cheat the system connotation that seems completely at odds with the disciplined approach we've been discussing.
That is a very common reaction to the buzzword, yeah. But the mechanism of how Stella Pop defines and utilizes growth hacking is entirely grounded in data.
Okay, so what does it mean for them?
For them, growth hacking isn't a fairy tale shortcut. It is the rigorous application of micro-experiments to maximize return on investment.
Meaning testing things out.
Right. It means instead of dumping a massive budget into one unproven marketing campaign, you run 50 tiny, inexpensive tests.
Ah.
You analyze the data to see which specific phrasing or audience targeting yields actual engagement, and then you aggressively funnel your resources into the mathematical winner.
So it is the scientific method applied to revenue generation.
Exactly. It's using power tools instead of handsaw to scale the beanstalk.
That mechanism completely changes the definition. It isn't magic, it is high-speed leverage.
Yes.
And what really grounds this entire philosophy for me is looking at Stella Pop's actual business model. I mean, the source text lists out their own service offerings, and if we are talking about building a basket full of golden eggs, they are absolutely walking the walk.
They really are.
It is a massive, diversified ecosystem built around a core competency of problem solving.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, their structure is the ultimate case study of their own advice. They do not limit themselves to being just a marketing agency. They provide fractional COO and fractional CMO services.
And for those who might not be familiar with that terminology, a fractional executive is essentially renting a C-suite leader, right?
Basically, yeah.
Instead of a growing company committing to a massive full-time salary for a chief operating officer or chief marketing officer before they are truly ready, they bring in Stella Pop's experts on a part-time or contract basis.
Right. They get the strategic brain power without the crippling overhead.
It is a brilliant golden egg for Stella Pop because it embeds them directly into the highest level of their clients' decision-making processes.
Yeah, it creates a deeply sticky long-term relationship. But their ecosystem extends far beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
On the creative side, they handle website design, branding, and social media management. They even manage co-working and flexible office spaces.
Which is wild. But I guess it makes sense if their core UVP is optimizing environments for growth, whether that environment is a brand identity or physical office space.
Exactly.
The source text also highlights their heavy involvement in government contracting. It specifically lists their CAGE code, which is 8FEB5, along with multiple NAICS classifications.
Now, those acronyms represent incredibly powerful golden eggs simply because of the barrier to entry.
Right, government red tape.
Yes. A CAGE code, the Commercial and Government Entity Code, is essentially a specialized, heavily vetted ID badge required to bid on federal contracts. Most agencies never put in the agonizing bureaucratic work to secure one.
And the NAICS.
NAICS classifications, the North American Industry Classification System, categorizes specific capabilities a business is officially recognized for by the government.
And Stella Pop's classifications cover everything from computer systems design to graphic design and administrative consulting.
Yes.
By securing that CAGE code and those classifications, they have built a massive wall around a very lucrative market. It is a heavily protected egg.
It is the ultimate resilience play. They have built a core operational engine capable of solving complex management and creative problems, and they have deployed it across healthcare, nonprofits, real estate, life sciences, and federal government sectors.
Wow.
If the commercial real estate market takes a sudden downturn and their co-working spaces take a hit, their government contracting egg is entirely insulated and continues to shine. They have engineered their own survival.
So what does this all mean?
Yeah, how do we wrap this up?
Well, if we zoom out and look at the whole landscape of what we've unpacked today, the takeaway is actually incredibly empowering precisely because it removes the magic. You do not need a fairy tale. You do not need to sit around hoping that you stumble across a magic bean or a giant's castle or an overnight viral sensation.
Oh, you don't?
Real golden eggs,
Well,
the mechanisms that generate sustainable long-term value are things you can build. They require looking at hard, objective data even when it hurts your ego. They require honest operational audits, They require you to figure out exactly what your perfectly tailored suit is.
And they demand relentless daily innovation to prevent your success from tarnishing.
Exactly.
It is about actively trading the passive fantasy of overnight success for the demanding reality of strategic cultivation. The underlying truth is that the goose only lays the egg if you do the hard, unglamorous work to feed it, protect it, and guide it to new ponds.
And realizing that is the most valuable tool you can possess, whether you are running a sprawling agency like Stella Pop, scaling a small tech startup, or just trying to navigate and accelerate your own professional career.
For sure.
You possess the tools to build Beanstalk. You just have to be willing to start climbing.
Well said.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final, slightly uncomfortable thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. We spent a lot of time discussing the warning that what's shiny today may tarnish tomorrow.
We did.
So I want you to look very closely at your own career or your own business. What current golden egg, the specific skill, the flagship product, or the reliable strategy that got you to exactly where you are right now is already starting to lose its luster? And more importantly, what new beanstalk do you need to start planting today, right now, so you are ready to replace it before the shine is gone completely?